We got the count at 5. I want you to know. Okay. All right. No. If he had maintained control, then it would have been. Then if he had control and then lost it or ran out of the end zone, it would have been a safety if he had run out. If he lost it in the end zone, it would have been a touchdown. It's up to Johnny.
If you want to, there might.
Thank you. Everything's cool. We got a good. So maybe the Colts can come back and make this a close game.
Now, see, that's the momentum of the ball. He still never got control.
It's the impetus of the ball, right?
Although they do have a ruling, if he forces it into the end zone, it could be a safety.
All right. Colts are not out of this. They could easily get 2 touchdowns before the end of this game and force an OT. Fine. Even though there's plenty of time, 12:03, this could be an important series for the Colts. They got a field goal the last time. They're down by 2 touchdowns. And Burt Jones looking one way and now taking off. Roger Worley coming in to meet him, and Jones wisely slides down at the 18-yard line. A loss of 2. Couldn't find anyone.
I think somebody missed an audible on that time because Roger Card went straight down the field and it looked like Burt Jones was going to throw him the quick hitch pass, and he looked over there and Roger was gone. So what did Burt do? He said, I got to run with the ball, and he did, and then he hit the turf. But there was a mix-up on the signals that time.
Quick thinking. Let's take another look as the Tampa Bay ties up San Francisco 7-7 as the Colts come to the line. 2nd and 12 at the 18-yard line. Jerry Eckwood tied it up for the Buccaneers. Worley comes up to meet Butler head on. Jones looking down the middle. He has Joe Washington at the 25-yard line, thrown back. It'll be 3rd and about 5 for the Colts. Tim Carney defending on Washington. First time he's caught the ball coming out of the backfield this afternoon. Reese McCall, number 86, comes out of the game. And Brian DeRue, 87, becomes the 3rd wide receiver for Baltimore.
The Cardinals are going to call timeout. Tom Bettis, their defensive coach over there, wanted a timeout call because Steve Niels came off the field. They were a little confused as to which defense they were going to use. So the game remains the same. St. Louis 17, Baltimore 3.
Okay, Niels is hurt. 75 is what? Okay, so they're playing a 4-3, huh?
Let's see.
It's like Greer. Looks like they got Carney, Williams, and Arneson.
There's somebody else not in the game yet here.
Favron. So it is a 3-4, huh?
Yeah. There's still somebody else not in there.
The 2 linebackers. It is.
We got 4 linebackers.
Right. Dick Stockton and Johnny Morris here in Baltimore, where the Cardinals are upsetting the Colts. 10:54 to go in the game. In the 4th quarter, 3rd and 5 for Burt Jones. Jones, and Pollard again deflected a pass. That's the 3rd time that Bob Pollard has timed his leap and has batted a pass up in the air by Burt.
And that one was pretty easy for him. It had a low trajectory. He really threw a line shot through the line, and Pollard probably could have hit it if he'd have stood on his feet and just, well, he got up there a little bit, but it had a low trajectory as Bob Pollard, his 3rd block pass, and I wonder what the record for that is in one game.
It's got to be close to it. Mike Bragg will kick. Mark Bell is the center man of a triumvirate of Cardinals standing at their own 40. There's Bragg. Superb punter. Cardinals going back to cover. Fair catch called for by St. Louis. Roy Green at the 20. So that's where St. Louis takes over. So we said it was a significant series for the Colts They didn't do anything, but and the reason why is that if the Cardinals can generate ball control right here and use up some time. Is that Mickemeyer? We're not sure. If he can generate some time right now, and that is Steve Mickemeyer with an ice pack on his ankle, that'll make it very tough for Jones to be 2 touchdowns back if they can chew up 4 or 5 minutes here.
That's right. How did Mickemeyer hurt his ankle? Jumping up and down on the sidelines, maybe.
Probably. Out of the eye, Wayne Morris the up back. Otis Anderson is the deep man. And Ozdowski moved. Let's see if he was drawn off. Otis Anderson carries the ball, gets to the 40-yard line. Woods tackled him, but another penalty. The Colts have been hit hard by penalties this afternoon. And the kind of penalties that well-drilled teams don't usually experience.
It is going to be against Baltimore.
'71 defense, offside, still first down.
That was Ozdowski, and I guess Johnny Mars put it so well, from week to week, game to game, things can really change dramatically in this league. The Cardinals down the bottom last week, playing as if they have a title in vision, and the Colts, who are fighting for a playoff berth, totally flat today. 1st and 5 at the 45-yard line. Here's Anderson barreling through with a first down into Baltimore territory to the 48. Otis Anderson had a good hole there. Orvis makes the tackle with Cook.
Each first down that St. Louis can get, you can figure on the average, eats up about 2 minutes.
Clock running, a little over 10 minutes remaining in the game. 4th quarter, we should say, because Baltimore 14 points down. That's what Hart has done today. But more important than the numbers, the way he has directed the offense has been impressive. Pitch to Anderson, gets by one intended tackler and was upended as he gets back to the line of scrimmage. Larry Brazil, penalty marker down. Preliminary is holding against Cardinals. Colts play Kansas City on the road next week. Cardinals are home for the next 2 weeks at Busch Stadium against the Cowboys, and that's a rivalry that St. Louis fans needn't be told about or reminded, and the Atlanta Falcons the week after.
24 offense, holding.
Once again, that's the 2nd time in the game, Johnny, that Wayne Morris has been holding from the backfield.
Well, he was trying to keep Mike Woods out of the play, and he held him on the block for Anderson. This puts St. Louis into a bit of a passing situation. Even though they are ahead, it's going to be tough to run that far for a first down, but they can eat up the clock at the same time. You don't figure Hart to scramble if he does pass. You know his longest run
that I don't know.
in 15 years, 16 yards.
1st and 20, and the pass to Tilley, who's hit immediately at the 47. Brazil on the tackle, hard hitting secondary, and Pat Tilley, leading receiver, and made the catch of the game and maybe the season for the Cardinals with a one-handed, backhanded stab of a hard pass in the 3rd quarter to put the Cardinals up 14-0.
Tilley had 36 passes going into this game, and he has at least 6. He was 3rd in the NFC, so he'll maybe move up a little bit.
2nd and 15, wide receiver split right. Hart off Gray's fingertips with Hatchett defending. It's kind of a play that Gray has made many times in his career. So it's 3rd down.
Hatchett against Gray as Gray comes down. Watch the receiver take a little cheat to the outside before he makes his cut here. The pass was a little bit high over his hands, and he takes a shot from Mr. Hatchett. But you have to take a few of those if you're going to catch passes. But Gray has a good knack of kind of cheating so that his cut to the outside is not a full 90-degree cut. It's only about a 75-degree. You kind of slant just a little to the outside to make your cut easier.
Theodis Brown in the backfield. Dave Stieff, wide receiver, and a nickel defense for the Baltimore Colts with Kim Anderson as Hart on 3rd and 15 to throw. And he's going long for Mel Gray, double covered. He's hit. It'll be pass interference against the Baltimore Colts, and Derek Hatchett and Nesby Glasgow had double coverage against Mel Gray, but they banged into him with the ball in the air, and a tremendous break for the Cardinals as Gray's shaken up again. It'll be 1st and 10. They called it on Hatchett, and Gray is shaken up.
Looks like he might have a sprained ankle. Gray, of course, is at the bottom of your screen. You can't see him in this picture. He just takes off the field, double coverage. Hatchett covering him normal, with Glasgow coming over from the inside, and he's coming over late. C-25 is way late, and they make collision with him before the ball gets there. It's a good call, and it's going to be a 1st down for St. Louis.
They were playing the man and not the ball. Mel Gray shaken up. He's had a tremendous day, as Johnny pointed out. So has Pat Tilley. They have been the principal receivers. It's been Gray and Tilley. That's been it, primarily, for Jim Hart, who has used Anderson in spots and Morris in spots effectively. Time remaining 8 minutes and 56 seconds.
St. Louis is in a good spot now. If they get any kind of a score, even a field goal, that would force the Colts to have to score 3 times to beat them or tie them, and would have put them in a real bad spot.
1st and 10. They spot the ball at the 13. 1st and 10 at the 13 for the Cardinals, who could get a 1st down without going in for the score. And Mark Bell, number 81, replaces Gray, split along with Pat Tilley to the left. Field goal would be a big boost. Touchdown would just about seal it. Morris runs into defenders close to the 10. Ed Simonini, only 6 feet, 206 pounds. All right, let's see. The Colts have stopped the run most part today.
This is going back to the play with the penalty, and we're going to watch Jim Hart after he throws the ball. He's watching. He's watching. He wants to know what happens.
2nd and 9 and 12.
There is the official. He says, hey.
We got that one. 2nd and 9 at the 12. Inside handoff to Otis Anderson. Tries to shake a few tacklers, but he gets inside the 10. Simonini once again makes the stop. Clock continues to run, and the Cardinals at worst are setting themselves up for a proverbial chip shot for O'Donohue. Bell goes out, and Mel Gray is back in the ball game for the Cardinals.
Jim Hart has moved into 6th now on the all-time yardage list. I think he moved ahead of Norm Snead. He must have about 30,200 yards, something like that. I guess it'd be too many to count after a while.
3rd and 6 at the 9-yard line for Jim Hart. Hart looking down the middle. He fires there, and it might have been deflected. Doug Marsh had it and dropped it, but Nesby Glasgow might have gotten a piece of it first. It'll go incomplete in 4th down, and O'Donohue will try to come in and add to the Cardinal lead.
I think you're right. I think it was slightly deflected, and if the ball gets knocked off course a little bit, that can kind of mess up a receiver. This is a big field goal.
26-yard attempt with Roger Worley holding. O'Donohue has connected on a 30-yard field goal in the 3rd quarter. And a fake, and Roger Worley is going to be down behind the line by number 52, Ed Smith, the linebacker. So the Cardinals tried something cute, and Ed Smith smelled it, and now the Colts will take over where the ball is at the 20-yard line.
If that was intentional, which it appeared to be, it was, in my opinion, kind of a bad time to call that kind of a play, because you get up 20-3, you put a team in a real bind, but they took the chance, and it backfired.
It looked like it was a set play, wasn't it?
Yeah. The snap was high. I just wonder. Yeah, he bobbled it. Let's.
Well, that's why we have replays, guys, right?
I'm glad I said if it was.
It was impossible to call from the play, you know, whether it was deliberate or not when it happened. He's in. This will tell the story.
The snap was high, as we saw, but I think he had some trouble getting it down. It was kind of crooked, and Worley must have made the decision on his own. He just felt that Donahue wouldn't have a chance to kick the field goal and was hoping that he could run outside and maybe get somewhere on it. But Ed Smith made the tackle, and it backfired. So it was a combination of the high snap, and then he kind of fumbled as he tried to set it down. So they did not do that intentionally.
7:27 remaining fourth quarter, and now Burt Jones really has to move the ball club. He's trailing by 2 touchdowns, and Jones drills it to Roger Carr at the 40, and he stopped there. A first down, a 20-yard pickup with Roger Worley making the tackle with Tim Carney's help. Bill Acker is in the game, and Rush Brown went out for the Cardinals. First and 10, clock running at the 41-yard line. Baltimore, and you can expect Jones to try to chew up some real estate in large amounts right now. Trailing 17-3, Cardinals trying to hold on for a major upset. Jones has time, plenty of it, and it's batted in the air. This time, number 67.
Jones pass, batted aside by Bill Acker.
Bill Acker from Texas, who just replaced Rush Brown.
Burt Jones did a smart thing. You notice he could have caught that ball, and he knew that he was going to be tackled if he did. Let's watch Acker, 67. Pollard comes inside, Acker to the outside, and they're watching the quarterback. Here's Acker, and up he goes over the block by number 75, George Coons. The ball came back to Jones, but he just let it drop.
Brian DeRue comes in as a third wide receiver. There you see Bill Acker, and now the Cardinals are going with a 4-3 as Curtis Greer and Stafford Mays come in. A 4-3 defense for the Cardinals, 2nd and 10 for Burt Jones on the 41-yard line, and pressure from the front 4. Jones having trouble, he won't get away. Pollard had a foot.
He did. He got his foot, and he was not going to let go.
Leading the sacks, Bob Pollard.
That may be not 10 sacks. That's the 10th sack, which is an incredible story. The Colts had no sacks for 3 straight games before the New England defense dumped Jones twice last week. They made it 9 in 7 games. They had 23 last year, but they've been sacked more times today than in the previous 7 games.
Well, defensive coordinator Tom Bettis has got to be real happy. His game plan for the defense has worked to a T.
3rd and 19 now at the 32-yard line with 6:25 remaining in the fourth quarter. Burt Jones, penalty marker down, and Carl Allen knocks the ball away on the pass intended for Ray Butler. And holding called against the Baltimore Colts. Holding against the Colts. And it'll be declined, 4th down.
Holding
and now
75, refused.
George
Fourth down.
Coons, second time he's been called for holding, and Burt Jones just frustrated out there. And Mike Bragg will come in and kick. Mark Bell is single safety for the Cardinals. 6:20 to go in the fourth quarter. Below his season's average, but Bragg hasn't been burned by any of his kicks today.
Not much has happened on special teams today, on punt returns or kickoff returns. Maybe we're due for something. I don't know.
Bell wants a fair catch. 36-yard line. So time and time again, the St. Louis Cardinals stop Burt Jones. That's the story here in the fourth quarter. 17-3, the Cardinals are leading the Baltimore Colts. The Colts, seeing that Buffalo beat New England, with a golden opportunity to move within 1 game of the top and tighten that playoff race in the AFC East, seeing their chances go down the drain, and the Cardinals heartened by their game right now. With Washington winning today, both teams could be 3-5. Washington already is. 1st and 10 at the 36. Second back, Anderson stopped for a moment to look for a hole. There was none. Picks up maybe 2. Herb Orvis, the tackle, with Mike Barnes.
We got to start looking in the record book to see what the record is for sacks in a game. 10 is getting up there pretty high. In fact, I'll get out my trusty book and I'll see if I can find out for you, Dick.
You talking about the Cardinal record?
Well, we could look for the Cardinal record, then the NFL record. I've never done a game where a team has gotten 10 sacks.
2nd and 8 at the 38. Tilly wide right, Ray to the left. Pitch to Wayne Morris, looks for a hole and finds one. Wayne Morris short of a first down by about 3.5 yards. Ed Simonini makes the tackle.
Some pretty good contact on this play as Otis Anderson is called upon to block for Wayne Morris, and he does the job on number 54, Sanders Shivers. And then there is the contact as Glasgow came up, and he and Wayne Morris hit head on, but not before Morris got some yards.
3rd and 4 at the 42. We have under 5 minutes remaining in the game. This time Morris going to his left, trying to get around Ozdowski, and he can't. Ozdowski makes a fine tackle. Good pursuit by the Colts on defense, but their problem right now is trying to generate some points. As the clock running nearly 4.5 minutes to go. The Cardinals have 2 timeouts to go, but for the Colts, more important for them, they've got all 3 of theirs. Larry Swider will kick, and he has gotten off a few beauties in this game.
Yes, he has. He's done very well. This is a beautiful angle to see the defensive and the offensive alignment here as the Colts try and find a gap to get somebody through.
Nesby Glasgow is deep, single safety. And they came in on our try to block it. Glasgow lets the ball bounce. He touches it, and it's loose ball.
Well, who's got it? It appears that the Colts have the ball as Glasgow just could not get the handle.
He's having problems back there.
Well, he went over to cover the punt, and then he saw that he couldn't catch it, and he should have run away from the ball if he wasn't going to make a catch on it, and then he had trouble getting the handle on it.
Well, the last thing the Colts wanted was the ball on the 11-yard line with under 4 minutes to go, but looking up, the Cardinal record for most sacks in a game is 11, and it was set in 1968 against the Atlanta Falcons. They've never had 10. They had 9 twice, once against the Redskins and the Eagles, and 8 against 3 other clubs. But 1976 was the last year they had as many as 8 sacks. Burt Jones back on his 5. He drills it complete to Roger Carr. Seems to be the only guy he can really depend on, and Carr has a first down, stopped by Carl Allen. But the clock is becoming most important now as you see Roger make this reception.
Okay, Carl Allen's going to give him this. He's not going to take too many chances. He's one-on-one on this particular coverage, ready to go deep, and Carr does the turn in, and at this point he'll give him 14 or 15 yards and make the Colts go down piece by piece, chunk by chunk, and eat up the clock.
He'll let them go in and score if they go down the field on a drive and use up 2.5, 3 minutes. Jones has time. His fire to Carr. He does not have it. It's incomplete. Incomplete, right about midfield, and Ken Stone was defending.
Well, they had a double coverage this time. You see Allen come on. He puts the jam on. There's a man waiting down deep. Carr goes back to the outside in front of the deep coverage, and the pass was there, but a little bit late, and he gets a hold of it, and it's finally knocked loose as Ken Stone was there to make the hit on Carr.
Kansas City leading slumping Detroit 10-0 in the second quarter. Mike Fuller, Steve Fuller, who's coming on as a quarterback, hit Mike Williams with a pass. 2nd and 10 at the 27 for the Colts. Clock at 3:12 remaining. Jones wants a deep run, and here's Ray Butler, and Ken Stone makes an interception. Ken Stone has intercepted at the 29-yard line, and that should seal the Colts' doom. And the St. Louis Cardinals, with 3:06 remaining, have the ball on Ken Stone's interception.
Good double coverage this time, as you're going to see. Allen is playing off. He makes the move inside. He gets by Allen very briefly, but you're going to see Stone come over to help out for the 2-on-1 situation. The pass was overthrown, and Stone makes the interception. The Cardinals have the ball, and it looks like it's a St. Louis ball game as Ken Stone comes up with a key interception.
And that's got to be a very heartening triumph for the Cardinals, considering the problems they've had, injuries and otherwise, the last couple of weeks. 1st and 10 at the 29, 3:06 remaining. Otis Anderson. And O.J. tries to cut inside. Penalty marker down. We could have a clip. We'll wait and see as Anderson just trying to use the clock, which stops at 3:01. It's holding against the Cardinals.
That Simonini looks like he got hurt on the play. It's kind of an unfortunate game for the Baltimore Colts. This was Alumni Day, and they had all the old Colt players, Johnny Unitas and Tom Matte and Alan Amici, and a lot of them came back for this homecoming game, and they haven't had too much to cheer about.
Holding, 71 offense. Still first
That was
down.
Joe Bostic. The offensive line has performed exceptionally well for the Cardinals this afternoon. You know, they announced all those, introduced them before the game, all the great people, Unitas and Miller and all those. And Dick Szymanski, the general manager, says, I wish we could suit them up, which perhaps was a forewarning maybe of what was going to happen today.
I think also what happened today is that St. Louis Cardinals got beat so soundly last week that a team gets embarrassed, and when that happens, this is an emotional game, and no way, you know, as you see in every NFL game that happens every weekend, teams that aren't supposed to win games, and it's all emotion. And I think emotionally the Cardinals were ready for this game, and they've played like it.
Well, while you could deny the fact that the Steve Little accident and tragedy affected the Cardinals' performance last week, it had to be in the back of everyone's mind. I just felt that they didn't feel like playing football last Sunday, and plus the injuries, and here they went into a situation that looked awfully dim this week because Simonini comes off on his own power with the injuries to the offensive line. Don't forget Ken Green, who is one of the leaders in interceptions in the NFC. Roy Green, who was back just to return kicks today. Then Hart's questionable status. Going in, it looked like the Cardinals had two chances, slim and none.
That's about it, but that's what pro football is all about. Parity.
Well, you can't get anything closer than what you have now in the NFL with two divisions tightening up to ties. 1st and 20 at the 19. Hart going to the air. Tilly might have slipped on a pattern. With Atlanta beating Los Angeles today, the Rams and the Falcons have identical 5-3 records. They're tied for first in the West. Buffalo beat New England, so they're both 6-2. Cleveland beat Pittsburgh. Steelers are now 4-4.
The Philadelphia Eagles, by the way, have taken a 7-0 lead over Chicago. The Monsters of the Midway.
Coming back with some rejuvenated offense in your territory, right, John?
A couple of long passes, not too many in Chicago these days.
Jaworski hit Billy Campfield for a 2-yard. Hart's going to go deep. No flags. Hatchett was defending against Mark Bell. So Hart's still going deep.
1st and 2nd down, he's throwing the football. I'll say one thing, he's not turning conservative.
Hardly. And you wonder about that play because, number one, you didn't use up any time, and if the pass is intercepted, the Colts are going to have good field position. They have 3 timeouts to go in nearly 3 minutes.
Well, you know, you think of situations before. They figured that the Colts will be playing up tight, close, playing the run, and figured they'll get a one-on-one situation on downfield, and Hart went for the bomber. There's Jim Hart.
Buddy English couldn't make it happen. Dave Stieff is in the game at wide receiver now. 3rd and 20 at the 19. Hart to throw again. He dumps it off to Anderson. Anderson trying to get some room. Anderson has a first. Now he has a first down, and Anderson is out of bounds. Bruce Laird makes the tackle, and an injured player on the field.
Barney Cotton.
2nd-year guard from Nebraska is on the field. A screen pass to Otis Anderson. Found some running room and has a first down, a 41-yard gain for Anderson, and now the Colts are out of danger.
And the key was those linemen coming out. Take a look at the left side of the offensive line. You're going to see Collins and Cotton. Number 60 comes out with Brahaney, and number 60 and Brahaney, both of them throw key blocks to turn Otis Anderson inside. Then he goes down the field after getting a block from Tilly. Good blocking by the receivers down there. How about that? Bruce Laird on the chase finally brings Otis Anderson down, but not before they get a first down. Well executed play by the St. Louis Cardinals.
Jim Hanifin can be proud of his ball club the way they've come back this week. Bettis's defensive game plan was virtually perfect. First and 10 at the 46-yard line of Baltimore for the Cardinals with 2:39 remaining in the fourth quarter. Movement again in the line, and Anderson is thrown for a loss by Sanders Shiver.
And look at those hit pads on Otis Anderson. Just
a brand new edition of 60 Minutes, then a CBS special movie presentation, Father Figure, followed by Alice and the Jeffersons. It's all on CBS tonight.
You saw the hip pad. I hope we get a shot of Otis Anderson's thigh pads. I think he wears the biggest thigh pads in the National Football League.
Offsides against the Colts as you get a close look. Looks like the playbook in his hip. First and 5. Anderson dives forward, short of a first down by a yard or a half. Clock continues to run with 2:25 to go.
See those thigh pads? Those are monsters. Of course, he has big legs too, but those thigh pads, that's where a running back needs most of his protection, because you get those guys come flying in on the front of the legs and you get that Charlie horse.
Theotis Brown replaces Otis Anderson, who takes a well-deserved rest to the sidelines. San Francisco leading Tampa Bay 10-7. 49ers could get to 500 if they win, tightening up the NFC West. We have the 2-minute warning here. And the St. Louis Cardinals are going to win their third game of the year against the Baltimore Colts in a big upset. We'll be back with more. Hey, John, what time is your plane? Good, so we
nobody's
don't have
in a hurry.
Kill ourselves, yeah. What game are we joining after this? Coming next, the Detroit Lions, Kansas City Chiefs game. The Lions, of course, with a 2-game lead over Chicago Bears. Minnesota lost to Green Bay today. The Kansas City Chiefs, who have gotten better in the last few weeks, came into this game tied with Denver for 4th place in a very close Western Division in which 2 games separated 5 clubs. Coming next on CBS.
Well, we'll keep a close eye on the Cardinals offensive line and see how these linemen are blocking here at the end of the game.
2nd and 1. Theotis Brown is the lone setback, second year from UCLA, and Brown gets the call up the middle. First down, fumbles, picked up by the Cardinals. Loose ball. I think the Colts have it at the 25. I think the Colts finally recovered at the 25.
Colts recover the fumble.
See who ends up in the bottom of the pile.
They had a one-back formation that time. Ran it straight up the middle with good blocking. Number 71, Joe Bostic, by the way, got the best block. He threw a good block.
Herb Orvis recovered. Here's another look. Brown had the first down. In trouble.
Watch the right guard, 71. He takes Mike Barnes, 63, right out of there. And then here comes the hit that jolts the ball loose. And who was that almost picked it up on the run there? However, he wouldn't have been able to advance because we're in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Quick dump off pass to Joe Washington, trying to get running room, and he falls at the 35.
Jones pass complete to Joe Washington.
Clock running, 1:45 remaining in the game. Colts have all of their timeouts remaining. There's the time, 17-3. The Colts need 2 touchdowns to tie. Pure and simple. 2nd and 1. Jones has to call the plays in a hurry. 2 in 1 huddle. Drills this pass, dropped by Butler. It was low, but catchable. And now we have a problem. Bob Pollard and Ken Mendenhall, the center. I'm sure they have met a couple of times in the trenches during this afternoon's game. And when you see something like that, you have to read it as frustration on the Colts' part, Johnny.
Yes, I would say they're a little bit frustrated. But now they're trying to get everybody back in there and get regrouped and think about this game. You never know. Miracles do happen.
Yeah, if they can somehow get on the board and score a touchdown, they'd have enough time for an onside kick. They're going to double cover Roger Carr with Arneson and Worley. And instead, it's Cleveland Franklin gaining a few yards. It'll be a first down. Clock running. The ball at the 40-yard line. They're going to double Carr again. Jones loses his footing and then is down for a sack. And that's the 11th sack of the game for the Cardinals, ties their all-time record.
Maybe we better start looking for the National Football League record.
Yes.
I have my trusty book here somewhere.
All right, we'll check that out. 1:01 remaining. Executive producer of the NFL on CBS is Charles Milton III. This game has been produced by Bill Barnes and directed by John McDonough. And we know, as you look at the other people who have done a fine job in bringing this game to you, that the fans who have been watching this along the St. Louis Cardinal Network have to be cheered indeed at the way their club has come back this week. It isn't over, but the Cardinals have played just about 59 minutes of solid football.
And this probably has to rate as maybe their worst performance of the season. Burt Jones, of course, if you look at the statistics, it's his worst performance, which is a combination of a lot of things. They were just outplayed by the St. Louis Cardinals. The record is 12.
Well, they're one away
Could that
from
be right? Dallas versus Pittsburgh, November 20th, 1966, 12. Most opponents tackled attempting to pass in a game.
That's right.
So they have tied. Have they got 12?
No, they have 11.
They have 11. One more
Five
set.
other teams have 11. So they're in the books. The pass is drilled, and it's complete to Brian DeRue. He has a first down in St. Louis territory at the 42. Under a minute to go, 50 seconds. The Colts have 2 timeouts to go. Jim Hannafin on the sidelines. There's the clock. Jones has to go deep. Double pumps, and there it is. That ties an NFL record, and we have to say it's unofficial.
Yes.
It's unofficial. But
anytime we say it, it's unofficial.
That's right. According to our records, that is the 12th sack of the game. Pollard and Greer combined to tie the National Football League record. 33 seconds and clock running. Jones is back. Pass to Carr. He has it inside the 25. Colts have 2 timeouts to go and call timeout right here. That leaves them with 1. 1 timeout remaining, 22 seconds to go. Cardinal sideline. Hannafin has seen his team rise to the occasion and beat the Philadelphia Eagles earlier this year.
And have come up with what we think is a victory here. And, of course, they'll play Dallas next week. So the Cardinals will be tested quite a bit next week because the Cowboys are tough this year. Hannafin is the 28th coach in Cardinal history. 28 coaches in a long history. This team is back there with the Chicago Bears back in the way early days.
They've got the Cowboys and the Falcons at home, then Dallas and Dallas. They've got 3 tough games coming up.
Who's next?
Then they've got the Chiefs, Giants, and Lions.
Well, who do they play next week?
The Dallas Cowboys at Busch Stadium. NFL record unofficially. St. Louis Cardinals with 12 quarterback sacks. What a turn of events.
Well, that ties the record. Now, if they get one more, they will set an NFL record.
Dallas against Pittsburgh, November 20th, 1966. Cowboys, 66. That was in the old era. That was before the Chuck Noll era, although Noll was 1-13 in his first year.
Those were the days of the Green Bay Packers, and Dallas were the strong teams then.
1st and 10 at the 23. 22 seconds remaining. The Colts have 1 timeout remaining. 17-3 is the score. Burt Jones running into the pocket, and he fires through the fingers of the wide receiver, Brian DeRue. He is getting pressure on every play.
Bill Acker was yelling to himself there. He thought he was going to get there, and of course that would have been a record. I don't think they're aware of it, but It was close. They forced Jones to move around in the pocket, and they almost got him for what would have been a record. When you stop to think of how many games have been played in the NFL over the years, it's quite a performance. And there's Arneson after him, too.
Burt Jones to the line, 2nd and 10 at the 23. Cardinals will be very pleased, perhaps, at this halfway point of the NFL season. Jones can't find a receiver. He takes off. He's at the 15 to the 10, out of bounds inside the 10 with 9 seconds to go. 9 seconds remain. Ken Stone chased him there. And if the secondary isn't covering the receivers, well, he's getting a rush.
Well, here's another look at Jones, who can't find anybody down the field, and you're going to see the Cardinals putting some pressure here. He spots a big opening on the outside. There was nobody there, so Burt just heads for the sidelines as we wind down to 9 seconds, and no contact. Stone decided that why punish him.
Otis Anderson, a 4-yard touchdown run in the first quarter, was 7-0 Cardinals at the half. Hart hit Tilley for a touchdown. O'Donohue had kicked a field goal before Baltimore got on the board with a field goal. First and goal at the 9. He lofts it to Carr. Incomplete with 5 seconds to go.
There you get a look at Jim Hannafin.
That's the time remaining. A rough afternoon for Burt Jones.
And if you take a look at this stadium, there couldn't be 5,000 people left. They have walked out on the Colts.
You sure have. 5 seconds to go. What the Colts had figured to be perhaps a breather today in their fight for the playoffs turns out to be disaster. Meaningless touchdown to Roger Carr with 2 seconds to play just to make it closer. So Roger Carr has caught his 4th touchdown pass of the year, 12th of the year for Burt Jones throwing with 2 seconds to go. It's 17-9. But the Cardinal defense kept the Colts at bay all afternoon.
And Roger Carr ended up with a real fine performance. I don't know how many passes he's caught exactly, but there's been a lot.
Point after, attempted by Mickemeyer, who's a great college placement kicker. High snap, the kick is up, it's good, and it's 17-10 with 2 seconds to play.
Roger Carr is 9 catches for 120 yards. That's a lot. 9 catches, but his team trails as St. Louis has the lead 17-10 with 2 seconds left on the clock. There's a look at Tom Bettis down on the lower right of your screen in the white jacket. He's got to be real happy after what's happened the past couple of weeks, and he's had to make a lot of adjustments. He's had defensive backs hurt. They didn't use that much in the way of 5 and 6 defensive backs, and they really rose to the occasion as he congratulates some of the players.
Kansas City and Detroit coming up next. That game already in progress. The Lions and the Chiefs, a fine matchup coming up next at CBS. So at the halfway point of the season, the Cardinals are actually 1 game better than they were a year ago. They were 2-6 after 8 games. They'll be 3-5 at this point. And a close game in that contest at Kansas City.
Murray has kicked a field goal for Detroit. Kansas City leads at 10-3.
That's right, 10-3. Kansas City leading Detroit. Lions, of course, trying to stay ahead of the Chicago Bears.
Here comes the onside kick.
Well, there's 2 seconds to go. Not much the Colts can do, really. Doesn't.
Oh!
That's going to do it, though. That's the end. Ball game is over. The onside kick will end the game. No time showing on the clock, although there's a meeting in the middle of the field. And now Hannafin's going back, so let's wait.
They're going to give him 1 play. The clock does not start until somebody touches the ball. That is a ruling there, and by the time he touched it and was tackled, they're saying that 2 seconds didn't go off, or are they saying that it did?
It's over. The game is over. The Cardinals have won. A big victory for the St. Louis Cardinals with their emotional problems with the Steve Little situation and the injuries. They've come back dramatically to beat strong Baltimore Colt team. The Cardinals offense and defense dominated this game today. 17-10 the final score. For Johnny Morris, this is Dick Stockton here at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Detroit at Kansas City coming up next. The NFL on CBS will continue after this word from your local station. My impression is
Thank you.
thank you. You too.
Yeah, they gave us some good replays.
Yeah, no,
Really did.
It was a very clean, well picked. Huh? I've had a.
It depends on what your definition of dirty is.
Yeah, knowing your definition.
Somebody told me they saw you cruising around the hotel last night about 3. Okay.